The next fly that we're going to tie is a Peacock Caddis dry fly. And so similar to the other flies in the series that we've been demonstrating, we want to go ahead and pinch the barb of the hook down before we tie the fly. And again, the reason for that is sometimes when you're pinching the barb down on a few of the hooks, you occasionally will have the hook break, and it's much better to have that happen before you've invested the time in tying the fly rather than to try and do this on the stream and see all that effort go to waste. So in putting the hook in the vise, we want to position it so that the shank of the hook, which is basically this straight part from behind the eye of the hook to where the bend begins, is parallel to the tabletop. And then we're going to add our thread by going over the top and spiral wrapping 5 or 6 wraps forward, and then turning around and coming right back over that spiral wrapping backwards. And the tension of the thread we'll go ahead and attach it to the hook, and you can see that we made a jam knot very easily. Now there's some excess thread right here that's called the tag end of the thread that we're going to cut off because that's not necessary. Then I like to lay a thread base down, and to do that I like to work with about 1 inch of thread outside of the bobbin, and then I'll turn the bobbin this way so that by just rotating my wrist I can control where the thread is positioning on the hook shank. I can rapidly bring it back towards the eye of the hook, and then I can turn around and come back to the tie-in point, which is right where the hook shank begins to go into the bend. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take a few of the pieces of peacock herl, and we're going to kind of stack those so that the tips are roughly even. And then because this type of material typically has a weak spot somewhere out close to the tip, what I like to do is pull on it and break them so that they're all at about the same length. And then I'll put that on top of the hook shank. I'm bringing the thread back between my finger and thumb and then pulling it straight down to trap it on the hook shank. And then after I do that, then I'm just going to bind that material to the top of the hook shank, and then I'm going to come back to that tie-in point. And what we're going to do now is add a loop of thread called a dubbing loop. And so we'll just put our finger on this, and we'll bring the thread back up here, 1 wrap in front, bring the loop out of the way, bring this up behind, and then we'll bring the thread forward to the point that we want to stop the body, allowing room to make the head. And then what we're going to do is pull this peacock herl back and put all of the strands of that between the thread loop, and then we'll twist it. And what that's doing is making a rope out of the peacock herl plus the thread, and so the thread is going to add reinforcement, making it a much more durable fly. And then we're going to take this rope, and as we twist it, we'll just wind that forward. And you see how we're building up a little bit of bulk to create the body of the fly as we go forward. And this is something that I really like fishing where we're using peacock, because the flash and iridescence of these feathers are very, very attractive to the fish. They have a lot of sparkle. I think there's something about it that really catches the fish's attention. And that's something that is very good, because we want our fly to stand out from the background. So you see we've made just a nice body right there. And next we're going to take a clump of elk hair. And so this is kind of a simplification of an elk hair caddis using a peacock herl body and stuff, where we don't have to add the wire ribbing or the hackle to the body. And it's something that this pattern is really good for imitating a Mother's Day caddis. So when I clipped that clump of hair off of the hide, what I'm doing is stroking through the materials, trying to get rid of all of those little under fur hairs, because we really don't want to have them left when we're tying the wing. So I'm going to grasp this a little bit differently, and we'll put it in the hair stacker and stack it one time, but then I'm going to bring it back out and try and remove any remaining of the under fur. So we even that up, and you see there's still a few pieces of that very fine hair in there that we want to get rid of. But each time we get rid of more, and this is something that sometimes if we're going to be tying quite a few of these, I'll actually use a small comb to comb out the under fur, and so you can get like mustache combs or some of the hair grooming kits that work really nicely for that. Then we're putting the tips in first again. We'll tap that on the table to get the tips aligned. We'll spin it to get it loosened, and then we'll grab these by the tips and pull them out. And we're going to measure this against the hook shank. We want from the tie-in point to have the tips be just a little bit past the end of the bend of the hook. And so I like that position right there. And we'll transfer it to this hand, and then I'm just bringing this up here, setting it down on top, bringing the thread between my finger and thumb and pulling straight down on top again, making a couple of loose wraps, and then pulling it a little bit tighter with each one. And see how when I released that it tried to twist, so I'm going to bring this back up a little bit on top, and then we'll want to tighten those wraps. I thought I had gotten it locked in place a bit, but I'm actually even going to take this off and reposition. That way we're back. We're able to keep the length of the wing, so I'll transfer that back to this hand again. Put that on there, a couple of loose wraps, and now I'm going to progressively tighten it. And this time, to keep it from rotating, I'm going to pull the butt ends up and back, and we'll put a few wraps right here. We're going to put a double hitch, or I could do a half hitch, but this is one where I've made the loop. I put 1.5 wraps over the eye of the hook and pulled that down. If I wanted to do a half hitch, I just take out my half hitch tool, one wrap around that, put that under there. And now I'm going to bring the butt ends back this way, and we're going to make just a few more wraps, but these will all be tight wraps on the hook shank there. And see how this hair is trying to flare a little bit more? Then we'll put another knot up here on the head of the fly. And I fortunately had snugged that up. We're going to trim the thread right there. Now we'll grip the butts of the elk hair and get that all in one nice handful again. And while we hold that up, we want to then take the scissors and basically we're going to create a little clump right there and cut across. And that completes the head of the fly. And when I turn that, I see I've got a couple of hairs here that are a little bit longer than others, and we can give that a haircut and make it look real nice and pretty. And there's one on the bottom here that I want to trim out. There we go. And so that's the Peacock Caddis.